Rainbow Six Siege has added a ton of operators over the years. At the time of recording, there are 71 in the game, all with their own unique gadgets, loadouts, and secondary gadgets to choose from. With so many options in the game right now, it can be difficult for a new player just coming into the game to decide on what operator to buy first. That's what we're going to be accomplishing today. I'm going to be giving you 10 operators that I think you should focus on buying first if you're a brand new player to Rainbow Six Siege. And I made for sure to keep this list even, so there's 5 attackers and 5 defenders, just in case if you're in more need of an attacker or more need of a defender. Also, keep in mind that this video is going to be compiled of just DLC operators. I won't be covering the original operators because you should be focusing on unlocking those first. Anyways, now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. Now, the first operator on my list is Legion. Legion is a super strong trap operator that brings his goos to the table. Goo mines are these traps that can be deployed on the floor, and when attackers step on them, damage will be dealt to them, and also their position will be revealed by a loud audio cue when they step on that goo mine. Also, damage will be dealt to them over time until they pull out the needle from their foot. This can make Legion a really powerful operator for giving you info on where the attackers are pushing from, and it can also be pretty useful for someone who's solo queuing, because if you don't have teammates, you can't really rely on them to give you callouts. But Legion's goo mines can function as a replacement if you don't have amazing teammates or your teammates aren't giving comms. Also, another amazing thing about Legion is that he can be useful on pretty much every map and every bomb site. This is because his gadget is literally just a trap. And trap operators are pretty much useful on every map and every bomb site, so Legion is arguably one of the most versatile operators in the game. On top of his amazing gadget, he also comes equipped with an amazing loadout. He has access to the T5 SMG, the 612 suppressed shotgun, and also a super shorty as his secondary option. The T5 SMG is one of the easiest to use weapons in the game. It has a solid fire rate, solid damage, and it also has a decent magazine capacity. And then the super shorty that he has at his disposal allows him to make rotates or head holes inside the bomb site really effectively. This, combined with Legion having access to impacts, can make him the perfect operator for setting up the bomb site, on top of having that great gadget I discussed. For all of these reasons, I think Legion should be one of the first operators you try to purchase if you don't have them unlocked already. Now, another operator that falls into a similar position as Legion is Ace. Ace is a hard breaching attacker that comes with one of the strongest gadgets in the game currently. His gadget is the Selma breaching charges. These are throwable hard breaching charges that when thrown on a reinforced surface, they will expand and explode, making a crouch or vaultable hole. Ace gets 3 of these at the time of recording, and they can be really useful for getting open a wall. However, the one downside to Ace is that his Selma charges are not very good at getting hatches open. He has to use 2 of them to get a hatch open, which means Ace can only get 1 hatch open. However, where Ace's strength lies is in his ability to get a wall open. He can pretty much bypass a bandit trick if he's smart and he throws down the Selma charges quickly, and on top of his ability to counter a bandit trick, he can do all of that while staying at a safe distance from the wall, preventing him from being nitroed or anything like that. This, combined with Ace having the AK-12 assault rifle as his primary weapon, one of the best ARs in the game, makes Ace arguably the strongest attacker in the game. And I would try to buy him as quickly as you can, because without him, your hard breaching capability is going to be significantly stunted. Moving past Ace, we have Wamai. I know this is probably going to be a controversial operator in this video, but just hear me out. The reason why I think Wamai is an operator you should focus on is because he's basically just a better Jaeger. Wamai's gadget is the magnet, and when you throw it onto a surface, it will then capture any projectiles that are launched into its radius. This includes things like Capital crossbolts, flashbangs, smoke grenades, yin candelas, and pretty much any other projectile that would fall into a similar category. When the projectile is captured by Wamai's magnets, they will then be sucked up towards the magnet, and then they will detonate inside the magnet. Now, I know this sounds like just a worse version of Jaeger, but due to how many magnets he has, and the fact that he has just way better weapons, Wamai at the time of recording is just way better than Jaeger, in my eyes. Him having access to the MP5K with a 1.5 or the AUG A3 assault rifle makes him have 2 of the best weapons on the defense. And for a beginner, that's going to help you out a lot more than bringing Jaeger, because if you end up bringing Jaeger, you're going to be stuck on the 416, one of the worst guns on the defense. So in my opinion, if you find yourself needing a Jaeger, but you hate playing him, Wamai is one of the best operators you can purchase. Moving past Wamai, we have Iana. Iana is honestly the most straightforward attacker there is in the game. Her gadget is the Gemini Replicator, and what this gadget allows Iana to do is to make infinite clones of herself, basically giving her infinite drones throughout the round. This can be extremely useful for a beginner, since a lot of beginners are not very good at droning, and a lot of the times they get their drone shot pretty early on. While bringing Iana, you can learn how to drone properly, and you won't get punished because you'll have basically infinite amounts of them throughout the round. Additionally, Iana having access to the G36C or the ARX, 2 of the easiest to control recoil weapons in the game on the attack, makes her a very solid choice for a beginner as well. Also, her having the Gone 6 and flashbangs allows her to clear a decent amount of utility on top of everything else I've just mentioned. So if you're wanting a good, well-rounded operator that can be ran on pretty much every bomb site or every map, Iana is a great choice. Playing her will help you learn the fundamentals a lot quicker, and on top of that, you'll have some good guns at your disposal. Moving past Iana, we have another very versatile attacker in the form of Lion. Lion's gadget is the EE1D, and what this gadget does is when activated, it will scan the map. And if any defenders move during the duration of the scan, they will be pinged repeatedly for a short period of time. This can be very useful for slowing down the defenders and forcing them to stop aggressing onto your team, which can be pretty helpful for giving you some breathing room. His gadget can also be used in conjunction with a drone to stop a defender from running away after you've droned them out. Additionally, his gadget is very easy to learn. All you have to do is click a single button, and you can learn when to activate it pretty easily. All you have to do is listen for a teammate when he calls out a defender's location. You can pop the E1D and force them to stay in that position. Additionally, if you hear a teammate get in a gunfight, popping an E1D a lot of the time can be useful as well. This will prevent other defenders from aggressing up onto your teammate and picking up the refrag. On top of his amazing and easy to use gadget, he also has access to two really solid weapons in the form of the V308 and the 417 DMR. The V308 has a 50 round drum, solid damage, and a decent fire rate with magnification sights available, which considering its low recoil makes it a pretty solid option for a beginner. And then on top of that, we have the 417, which obviously has no recoil since it's a DMR, and it has high damage, but you are getting the downside of it not being an automatic weapon. So the choice is completely up to you. All of these factors combine to make Lion a really solid option, especially for slowing down an aggressive enemy team. Anyways, now that we've wrapped up talking about Lion, we can now move on to talking about Valkyrie, which in my opinion is another must on any player's roster. The reason for this is because of how strong Valkyrie's gadget is. Valkyrie's gadget is her throwable black eye cameras. Now this probably doesn't sound that good to someone who doesn't play Siege a lot, but information is key in Rainbow Six Siege. And more cameras for your defensive team is huge, especially when you get 3 of them on Valkyrie. On top of her gadget just being really useful for getting intel, you can also use her cams to pick up some free kills. First of all, you can yellow ping attackers, allowing your teammates to wallbang them, but on top of that, you can go below under your cameras and then yellow ping an attacker and then use your nitro cell to blow them up from below. This can be a really strong strategy depending on the map and can catch a lot of players off guard, especially at lower elo. However, there is one downside to Valkyrie, and that is that her gun is the MPX, which is a really low damage SMG. If you can't hit your headshots very easily, you are likely going to struggle with this gun because of how low damage it is. But due to its low recoil, you can hit headshots pretty easily as long as you're good at aiming head level. So generally, I think the low recoil makes up for the fact that its damage is kind of crappy. Anyways, moving past Valk, I now want to discuss another attacker, Jackal. Jackal is another roam clearer like Lion, which I'm sure you'll see a trend as we go later into this video. But Jackal is also just extremely strong in his own right. Jackal's ability is his Inox goggles, and what these allow him to do is he can see the footprints of any defenders that have moved around on the map. And depending on how long the footprints have been on the ground, their color will change, indicating to Jackal how close or how far away a defender is. But on top of being able to see defender footprints, Jackal can also scan them and then ping the location of that defender on the map repeatedly. The more recent the footprints are, the more pings Jackal will get. This makes Jackal a really good operator for roam clearing, obviously, but his goggles can also give him information when he doesn't have access to a drone. He can just see where the footprints are leading and then follow them and find a defender if he goes far enough. So if he just checks a room really quickly with his goggles and doesn't see any footprints, he can be pretty sure that the room is going to be clear. On top of his really good gadget, he also has 2 really strong weapons in the form of the C7E and the PDW. His C7E is just a really solid assault rifle all around with good damage, a solid magazine capacity, and a good fire rate. But if you want access to more magazine capacity, you can bring the PDW, which has a 50 round drum. And he also has access to a secondary shotgun, which can allow him to make holes into walls really quickly, or to make vertical holes in a pinch. All of this combines to make Jackal a very versatile operator and a very beginner friendly operator, which is why I'm recommending him in this video. Now moving past Jackal, I want to talk about another more recent operator, Solace. Solace is a defender that has access to goggles that can allow her to see any electronic attacker gadget through wall. Now, this gadget is on a cooldown and it cannot be on 24/7. And when you have the ability active, you cannot hold your gun out. But what makes her ability so useful is the fact that she can gather so much intel so quickly. Solace can see attacker drones through walls. Solace can see attackers sitting on their cams. Solace can see any electronic gadget that the attackers deploy, and she can also see things like claymores to help her pull off some runouts. However, by far the strongest ability of Solace is her ability to see drones. This can make Solace really powerful as a roamer, because she can see when any attacker is droning her out, and she can shoot those drones to deny the attackers any sort of intel. This allows Solace to basically never be caught off guard by an attacker because she'll constantly know when they have info on her and when they don't. This is why Solace is one of the most banned operators in the game right now, and it's also why she's one of the most picked at higher ranks. And on top of her amazing gadget, she does have access to the P90, which is a pretty solid SMG with a high magazine capacity and low recoil. The only real downside to Solace is the fact that she can be a little more expensive than other operators on this list, but I do think that extra cost is worth it because of how strong she is. Moving past Solace, we have another operator that I think will be controversial on this list, and that is Dobe. The reason why I'm recommending Dobe is because she is one of the strongest attackers in the game right now. She does have some downsides, but I'll get into them in a bit. Dobe's gadget is the Logic Bomb, which she can activate via her tablet. When activated, this will call all defenders on the map and make a loud audio cue on their position until they hang up the phone. Now, what you might be asking is, why is this useful? Well, first off, it forces all defenders off of their cameras, even if they're dead. This means for the duration of the call, your entire attacking team will have free reign over wherever you're going because the defenders will have absolutely no intel on where you are. Additionally, due to the loud audio cue her calls make, she can be very useful for clearing out roamers or checking a room if you don't have any drones available. This combined with her passive ability of being able to hack phones off dead defenders can be pretty huge, because if Dobe can hack into a cell phone, she can get access to the entire defender camera system. This means that your entire team will have access to all of the defender cameras, no matter what they are. Default cameras, Valkyrie cameras, Echo drones, Maestro cams, all of that will be revealed to you. Now, after hearing all of that, I'm sure you can see why her gadget is so strong. But she does have one major downside, which is that her loadout is very difficult to use as a new player. She has access to the MK14 DMR and the Boss G shotgun, and then as her secondary options, she has the SMG-12 or the C75 at her disposal. The MK14 DMR is solid, but it is a DMR, which a lot of beginner players struggle with using. And then the Boss G is just a no-go for pretty much everyone, because it's a double-barrel shotgun, and it has a stupid amount of recoil, making it very hard to use in most situations. And then for the SMG-12 and the C75, they're both machine pistols that most beginners struggle with because of how high their recoil is. Also, another huge downside of Dobe is that she's banned in a lot of games due to how strong her gadget is. So buying Dobe isn't the most important thing, but I do think it should be an operator you consider buying relatively quickly because of how strong she is. Now, moving past Dobe, we have another trap operator in the form of Frost. Frost gadget is literally just bear traps that can be placed on the ground. When attackers walk into these bear traps, they'll be downed immediately. However, they can revive themselves from those traps and be left with 20 HP if you don't get to them quickly enough to kill them. Frost traps are mainly useful under windows or on the top of staircases where the attackers won't expect them. And they can provide your team with some pretty free kills if you play near them. On top of that, Frost's loadout is amazing. She has access to the 9mm C1 SMG, a secondary shotgun, and a deployable shield. Deployable shields are very strong in Rainbow Six Siege because you can play behind them and use them as a mini power position. And then her secondary shotgun is useful for reasons I've mentioned before, which is making head holes and making rotates for your team. This combined with Frost's SMG being a really low recoil, somewhat high damaging SMG, makes her a very good defender for any beginner just jumping into the game for the first time. However, since Frost is such an old operator, a lot of people already have her unlocked, which is why I put her so late into the video. Anyways, that's going to wrap up today's video, and I hope you guys found today's video useful. If you did, I make Siege content just like this twice a week, so go subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter if you don't want to miss the next upload. Also, I make content outside of Siege on a second channel, which I'll pop up on the screen right now, and I'll also have a link to it in the description if you want to go check it out. Now, if you want to watch another video just like this one, I'll be popping up on your screen right now that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Also, I'll be popping up another video on your screen right now that's from my second channel if you want to go check that out. See you next time, friends, and peace.